A superstition is defined as a widely held but unjustified belief in supernatural causation leading to certain consequences of an action or event. These beliefs had its roots woven into our species when our ancestors couldn't understand the forces of the natural world when survival was threatened. Superstitions have since evolved to produce a false sense of having control over outer conditions where there is an absence of confidence, insecurity, fear, and threat. When a newly married couple arrive home after their ceremony, it is tradition that the bride be carried over the threshold by the bridegroom. But why? The chivalrous gesture is done to avoid the evil spirits that gather at the doorway. It's ill-advised to sleep with a mirror facing you because negative energies were alleged to be caught in the mirror and reflected back upon the sleeping person throughout the night. People of prehistoric Europe believed bogs, lakes, and streams were sacred places where they could directly communicate with the gods and make petitions and offerings. The element of water was the door or portal into their world from the material world. No request or prayer was granted without an exchange of gratitude and goods, so it became customary to make offerings to the waters, giving birth to the modern-day wishing well. In ancient Celtic times, to gain vision of the man a woman would marry, she would wait until midnight on Halloween, stand in front of a mirror in the dark, and light a candle. While staring at her reflection, she would take a bite of an apple while slowly brushing her hair at the same time. Focusing hard, her face would slowly morph into that of her groom. Alternatively, a vision of her future husband would reflect behind her and gaze at her through the mirror. Once used to apply makeup, rabbit's feet became popular in the 19th century through the African American magical tradition called hoodoo. The Aztecs and Chinese ascribed magical properties to the rabbit and saw it as a symbol of cunning and survival. In German and Scottish folklore, the rabbit's relative, the hare, is capable of placing an evil eye on people because it is one of the few animals born with its eyes open. The antidote to forthcoming misfortune is obtaining and carrying the animal's hind foot. Romans, Greeks, and Egyptians believed that the soul lived in the form of our breath, and sneezing could expel the soul from the body. During the years of the plague, sneezing was a grave omen. The practice of saying God bless you, or something comparable because of this, is found around the world. Blowing out candles on your birthday originated from an old tradition where our ancestors paid respect to the Greek goddess Artemis in exchange for future prosperity and success. Thousands of years of folklore, mythology, and religious beliefs have shown us trees are sacred. It was believed that trees housed gods and nature spirits that controlled the seasons. People would seek favors by laying hands on the trunk of a sacred tree. Alternatively, ancient people also believed that evil spirits lurked in wood and when knocked upon, could be drawn out, giving way to the superstition of knocking on wood. The practice of covering the mouth while yawning started because ancient ancestors believed the devil could sneak in and steal the soul if they didn't. British legend tells that the hands of the deceased have healing powers. Regardless of the disease a person had, it was believed that placing the hands of the dead upon them could cure their own disease. The dead person's hands were also helpful in the reduction of swelling. It was believed by some that the dead person had to be the opposite sex of the person who wanted to be healed. After touching hands with the deceased, the person would lie down in their bed, aligned north to south. It was also believed the bedding of the deceased would hold some of the magic from their hands, so people would wrap themselves in the bedding of the dead to reduce pain and cure disease. Salt has been a highly valued commodity since the dawn of time. In the ancient world, salt was also an object of magic and superstition. It was a preservative for food and mummification, giving it a connection to immortality. Salt has distinctive transformative properties. It disappears when dissolved in water and becomes solid again when the water is evaporated. Its mutability gave salt a secret significance. In the European Middle Ages, people left a line of salt outside their doors believing witches would be compelled to count every grain before entering. If salt happens to be spilled, a countermeasure still practiced today is throwing salt over the left shoulder, the left being the sinister side, blinding the demon waiting behind you. Early mirrors were made of metal or highly polished stone. In the 1st century AD, the first metal-coated glass mirrors were invented and very desired as they offered a more precise image that didn't scratch easily. The problem was, they were easily broken. Many cultures in the ancient world held the same view that when looking into a mirror, an individual's soul became stored in the reflected image, so the belief in breaking a glass mirror was viewed as bad luck. If the person's reflected image was destroyed by the breaking of the mirror, so was the soul. Ancient mystics and mirror seers were especially affected by the bad luck attributed to a broken mirror, as they used them for divination. To break a mirror while communicating with unseen entities was not only unlucky, but dangerous because it swiftly cut the connection with the divine. As antidote, ancient people gathered the broken glass and ground up the particles to free the soul. The concept of 7 years bad luck was established in 1851. Folklorists believed this specific time frame is in conjunction from the Roman belief that the body renews itself every 7 years.